Welcome back, viewers, to List of Legends list, and today we're going to be listing the top 8 Darkest SpongeBob SquarePants episodes. Ironically, for a kids show on Nickelodeon, there are a decent amount of dark episodes and I can't name them all. We might need a part 2 to this. So, as usual, spoiler warning of course, all these lists are completely my opinion, and if you have a dark episode that's not on my list, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. As always, before we begin, make sure to click that like and subscribe button so I know you like my content. Without further interruptions, let's begin. Starting our list off at our number 1 spot, we have Out of the Picture, and this episode is actually fairly recent with the episode coming out in Season 10. Out of the Picture showcases Squidward trying to sell his art at the Krusty Krab. As you probably figured from Bold and Brash, nobody wants to buy Squidward's art. It isn't until an art critic comes into the Krusty Krab and explains that if the artist is out of the picture, the art will be more valuable. And seeking out an opportunity to make more money, Mr. Krabs does everything in his power to try and get Squidward to die. Like Mr. Krabs sends him to places that put Squidward in danger. Now I'm well aware Mr. Krabs has always been very greedy, but this seems very extreme. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised since after all he did once trade SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents to the Flying Dutchman. Also, fun fact in this episode, Rock Bottom makes a return, which is the first time since the first season of the show. Classic. Number 2 is Just One Bite, and this episode just feels like it's a drug addiction related episode. In this episode, Squidward reveals that he's never had a Krabby Patty and he probably never will. So eventually, SpongeBob convinces Squidward to take one bite, so it seems. After he tries it, he lies to SpongeBob and immediately eats the rest of the Krabby Patty. From this point on, the rest of the episode is Squidward fantasizing about having more Krabby Patties, to the point where he imagines having a date with it. It isn't until he finds the Patty Vault in the Krusty Krab and eats hundreds if not thousands of Krabby Patties, which then causes Squidward to blow up or OD it seems. This is why you stay in school and don't do drugs, kids. At our 3rd spot on the list, we have Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift is one of those great SpongeBob and Squidward episodes with Mr. Krabs opening the night shift at the Krusty Krab, and then leaving SpongeBob and Squidward to do all the work. Into the night, Squidward tells SpongeBob a scary story about the hash-slinging slasher, and all the events from the story actually begin to happen. It really gives you a scary vibe and makes you feel for SpongeBob and Squidward, like something bad is going to happen to them, making you wonder in fear all throughout the episode. And it isn't until the end when we find out it was all just a sequence of coincidences. I don't know the odds of all that happening, but it definitely wasn't in SpongeBob or Squidward's favor. Hitting our halfway point on our list at a number 4 spot, we have Rock Bottom, and this is my favorite SpongeBob episode of all time. SpongeBob takes the wrong bus and gets stranded in one of the most unique places to ever be showcased in SpongeBob. Rock Bottom is a really dark place visually, almost like the sun doesn't shine there at all. Rock Bottom is also home to weird creatures straight out of a horror movie. When I'm watching this episode, you really connect with SpongeBob, almost like he's in a horror movie, and not a kid's cartoon. I mean, if Mr. Krabs sent Squidward there to his death, imagine how it felt to SpongeBob at the time. Overall, I really love episodes like Rock Bottom, since it explores more into the SpongeBob world. I also feel Rock Bottom is a really unique place, and its appearance to the show will be once in a blue moon. Number 5 is SpongeBob Meets the Strangler. Right away, just the title itself is already a sign that this is going to be a dark episode, almost like it's about a serial killer. Honestly, I'm surprised at the bare minimum they weren't told to change the episode title. In this episode, SpongeBob rats on someone called the Strangler for littering, and when he escapes police custody, he begins posing as SpongeBob's bodyguard. All during this time, he's trying to get SpongeBob alone so he can strangle him, but SpongeBob, being the lovable sponge we all know and love, has no clue to the Strangler's true intentions, which makes it that much more scary. Ultimately, it ends with the Strangler getting tired of SpongeBob never being alone and goes bonkers, which ends up with him going back to prison. Overall, this is an episode plot I honestly thought would never come up in a kid's cartoon, especially SpongeBob. Number 6 is Fear of a Krabby Patty, and this is another heavily greedy Mr. Krabs episode. Just when you think Mr. Krabs can't get any more greedier, the show surprises me. Basically, Mr. Krabs makes SpongeBob and Squidward work for 24 hours a day to compete with Plankton's 23 hours a day. At first, you'd think this would be amazing for SpongeBob, since he absolutely loves his job at the Krusty Krab. But too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, and that's exactly what happens. SpongeBob works to the point where he loses his mind from pure exhaustion. It's a sight where you just want to yell through your screen to Mr. Krabs to give them a break. It gets to the point where SpongeBob is hallucinating Krabby Patties trying to attack him. Even though he was trying to get the secret formula, at least Plankton ends up curing SpongeBob at the end, and he gets a break. Man, do I dare say Mr. Krabs can't get any more greedier. I probably shouldn't. Nearing the end of our list, at our number 7 spot, we have the Nasty Patty, and man was this a seriously dark episode. Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob end up killing the health inspector by giving him a Krabby Patty that was dropped in the toilet, wipe with Mr. Krabs' dirty gym socks, and so on. You get the point, the Krabby Patty was disgusting. Eventually the police come and Mr. Krabs convinces SpongeBob to keep quiet so they can bury the body in the rain. Eventually, when the secret gets out, Mr. Krabs tries to pin it all on SpongeBob, which really shows how low Mr. Krabs was willing to go. Just knowing all this is going on in an episode of SpongeBob is really crazy to think about. While the customer never actually died, the fact that they go through with trying to hide a body and Mr. Krabs trying to frame SpongeBob, it's just something you never expect to see in a kid's cartoon. The Nasty Patty is certainly an iconic episode of SpongeBob and is highly known for its darkness. At our great number 8 spot, we have One Course Meal. This episode is vastly hated by most SpongeBob fans and is known as the worst SpongeBob episode. Not only is the episode the darkest SpongeBob episode in my opinion, but it really shows more and more examples of how much of a bad, greedy person Mr. Krabs is. One Course Meal is an episode where it's nothing but torture to Plankton. When Mr. Krabs discovers Plankton has a fear of whales, he makes it his mission to do nothing but torment Plankton by dressing up as Pearl. It gets so bad to the point where Plankton is living his whole life in fear, so much so he lies in the street just waiting to get run over. It's both sad and despicable all at the same time. Overall, this list of dark episodes is the reason why I say SpongeBob may not be just for kids after all. There are so many more dark episodes I was debating to put on this list, so if you'd like to see a part 2, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Alright viewers, that is the end of our list. Let me know what list you'd like to see next. With all that said, I look forward to seeing you with our next list.